Welcome back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. We're finally back. We had a lovely vacation and we went to Walt Disney World for our 30-year wedding anniversary. And coming soon we will have a bunch of Disney themed recipes to show you because we've been blessed with a lot of Disney cookbooks from family and friends who know we love Disney. But for tonight we're going to start with a simple oatmeal cookie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute shortening for the butter because coming back from vacation we're out of a few things. We go through a lot of butter, so we're out of butter. But we have shortening. So I'm going to use that. And then instead of raisins or nuts, I'm going to put in some date pieces. So I thought that would make a nice pairing with the oats. So what we're going to do first is start by creaming the shortening and the sugar. So it calls for 1 cup of butter, which I'm using shortening instead, and 1 cup of compacted brown sugar and ½ cup of white sugar. Now that's going to want to let that cream together. And then in this bowl I have 1.5 cups of flour, to which I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking soda. If I don't drop it on the floor in the process. Oh my goodness. Whew. Got some baking soda dust here. All right.
I thought it was snowing.
Yeah, so that's actually a ½ teaspoon measure, so I'm going to do that twice over. Just what I happen to grab. And cinnamon, which is an awesome pairing with oats. Both as a breakfast and as a cookie. Teaspoon of that. Whew. Got some kickback on the cinnamon going up my nose. Alright. And then it calls for a teaspoon of sea salt. And now the sea salt actually adds some nice crisp texture to it as well as the savory. And I found that out when I made chicken fried steak the other night. It called for sea salt, which is the crunchy salt. Which I think is a little odd to put in, a baking recipe when generally things are supposed to be smooth and uniform. But it worked very nicely with the chicken fried steak, which will become a future recipe on the channel. So it called for a pinch of nutmeg, so I added that. Now I'm just going to stir together the dry ingredients. It's generally the best thing to do when you're making a recipe. Flour and the spices all go together, as well as the leavening, which is the baking soda in this case. Now I'm going to pause the mixer and stir down and make sure everything is off the paddle. So I'm using the paddle attachment, which actually works better for creaming than the wire whip. So there's that. And when you're creaming your fat and your sugar together, you want to do it for at least 2 to 5 minutes, especially with butter because it needs to whip. Shortening isn't as specific as that, but while that's blending, let's get our egg ready. It calls for a whole egg and 1 egg yolk. So I have this egg separator that pretty much sits in the drawer, except on the rare occasion I have an egg to separate. And I'm doing this backwards. I'm pulling out the egg yolk and not the white. But that's what happens when you have vacation brain. So anyway, let me just do this in reverse here. I'm going to pull out the yolk and let me just dump off some of the white. To offset that. Alright. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but so it's a whole egg and a yolk is what it's supposed to be.
You got it backwards.
Yeah. But you know what? And it's supposed to make for a richer, denser cookie. So now we're going to add the egg to the mix that's already going in the bowl. And mix that in. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape. Get everything in it there and mixed and incorporated. Alright, and let me just get the oven warming up. I forgot to do that. And I still have something in there from the chicken fried steak. Alright, so we'll let the oven warm up. And then now we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Just a little floop. And then we're going to add in the dry ingredients. Clear things up so we can see what we're doing now. And I'm just going to tap this in there. You want to do it gradually so you don't end up with a big floof of flour mixture going all over the place. Sounds like a woodpecker. Alright. And it said just to do this just until mixed. You don't want to overbeat your batter. So I'm going to stir that up and then whip it up just a little bit. And now I'm going to drop it down, spin the whip a little bit. I mean the paddle, not the whip. I'm going to scrape that off into the bowl. And we're going to scrape off this yummy dough. Alright. And then from here, we are going to stir in the oats and the date pieces. And it doesn't give a recommendation of the amount of an addition, be it raisins, nuts, or chocolate chips. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Generally, a cup is usually enough. So I'm going to set that down. All right. And then we have 6 cups of old-fashioned oats. That gives more texture than quick oats.
Oh, okay.
So that's how we're going to do that. And we're going to put in some date pieces.
And just out of curiosity, where did you get the date pieces?
They were given to us. Alright. And I thought I had a cup out here, and I do. It's right here. And these would also go great in a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast too, I think. Alright. Preferably I would chop them up into little smaller pieces because they're kind of like fingertip length hunks, but it's okay. We will see how it works out. And this Danish dough whisk. These look like little bits of Tootsie Rolls in here, actually. I won't say what else they look like. We'll go Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls, I like that. Tootsie Rolls. I love Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in the office when they like bring out Tootsie Rolls for Halloween. I'm the one that eats them.
They're good stuff. You know? Alright. I'm gonna mix all this in. 6 cups of oats is a lot of oats. But you know what? For some reason, I put in 6 and it was supposed to be 3, so we're going to have very oaty cookies. But you know what? We all screw up in the kitchen sometimes. That's what happens when you come back from vacation and you're trying to multitask. So we're going to have some very oaty cookies.
Or you could just double everything else and then we just have a lot of cookies.
Yeah, but then I would have to go through and mix everything again, but it's all good. Let me just grab a paper towel. I think what I'll do is I'll just lower the temperature and cook it less time because otherwise they'll be dried out and crumbly. I couldn't figure out why the dough is so dry, and I'm like, kind of like my, what was that casserole I made? And I put in the dry rice instead of the cooked rice.
Chicken divan.
Chicken divan, thank you. You know what? Even those of us who have a lot of experience in the kitchen still do goofy stuff here and there.
I think you're just so used to doubling recipes when things.
That's true. I think that's what I had in mind. But I didn't have enough fat to make the recipe double. So I just decided to do it regular. And I think my brain was thinking double. So I doubled the oats. Because when I made the clementines, it was 6 cups of oats. So, we're going to have very crumbly cookies. They look like little bird nests here. But this will be an experiment. And we will let you know how it comes out. Or falls out in that case. Good grief. But you know what? It's okay.
It all works in the end.
Yes. If anything, we'll have a very dry, crumbly cookie. And we can put them in a bowl and eat them for breakfast, you know?
Or just have them melt with milk.
Yeah.
I know we have oat milk, so we might as well just use oat milk with the oat cookies.
And we have oat creamer, too.
Yeah.
We have oatmeal cookie flavored oat milk creamer, which is actually quite funny because, you know, they're like, well, we're oats already. We may as well make ourselves into oatmeal cookie flavor. All right. Okay. So, we're going to put you on pause for a few minutes while we go ahead and scoop up the cookies. And then we'll bring you back when they're ready to go in the oven. So, in order to redeem my goof of adding twice the amount of oats, I perpetually double recipes, and I think I threw myself a curveball tonight by not doubling, and I doubled an ingredient, kind of offsetting everything else. So what I did is I added 2 additional eggs to give it some more binding, and then I decided to go with making it into a bar cookie, because at the very least, if it falls apart, we can have granola for breakfast. So sometimes if you make a mistake, you figure out how to redeem it and roll with it. So we're gonna bake this.
So just out of curiosity, why did you use two more eggs? Why not like do something else?
Because that was what I had available to give it binding.
Okay.
Because egg has the power to bind things together. It's like glue. So that's why I used egg. And I didn't have enough shortening to round up the recipe for a full double. So that was the best way to redeem what I had done.
Cool.
So we might have oatmeal bar cookies or we might have granola. We will let you know when we pull it out of the oven. So we'll be back soon. And we're back. And the bar cookies have been baking at 325. I dropped the temp a little bit for about 20 minutes. So we're going to bring them over and set them out to cool and then see how they came out. Sometimes when you have curveballs, you just got to roll with them.
This is more like a screwball, but
You know what? It works. So,
they look good.
yeah, and the other finishing touch for the oatmeal cookies was to finish them off with a tiny bit of salt. So, it's supposed to be flaked sea salt, but I'll just put a wee bit on here. So, just a little bit of sea salt to finish them off, give them a little bit of crunch. So, what we'll do is we will let these cool off, and then we will cut them up and see how they turn out. So, this is just a way of redeeming a recipe that I goofed on. But, at the very least, we'll have some yummy oatmeal breakfast cookies, or some oatmeal granola for breakfast, or just some snacking cookies. So, we will be back with you soon. Okay, so we're back now that the oatmeal bars have baked. And make sure you like and subscribe and share to your friends. And again, I apologize for the long delay between videos, but we were on a trip. And anyway, so whenever I make a bar cookie, this dough cutter actually works really well for cutting up bar cookies. So, I'll cut these up and we'll see how they turned out. So basically, making a bar cookie is a valid alternative to a scoop and drop cookie. I just did this because I ended up with a looser dough than I had anticipated because I'm used to doubling and I didn't, and I threw myself a curveball and we ended up with some slightly altered cookies. But alright, so we actually have 2 taste testers. So we got Madison and Logan. So I'm going to give you each a cookie and you can tell me what you think.
And what does everybody think about Madison's new hair?
I dyed it myself.
And?
I'm good. If it will go with like yogurt or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All good. Let's show with the dates.
Yeah. So, the oatmeal and the dates is a great combination, and even though I goofed with making too much oats, it still came out really good. It's a very Oatey oatmeal cookie, so I guess that's what we can call it.
The Oatey Oatmeal Cookie.
Yeah, so oatmeal with extra oats. So, and then to throw it all together, we can serve it alongside some oat milk. So anyway, thank you again for joining us, and we will be back with you soon with some Disney themed recipes. So like and subscribe and share to your friends and join us again soon.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, and neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.